Hi, everyone. This is Eileen Newman, and welcome to Mission BX. Mission BX is a collaboration between BronxNet and the Center for Bronx Nonprofit at Hostos Community College. Every session, we go and visit or speak with someone involved or people involved with one of the wonderful nonprofits working in the Bronx. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with a very special guest.
Everything is here for the taking, my friend. The only one is you, what it must be best. All your dreams is yours, just reach out and take it. Don't blame, rather do.
So welcome everybody to Mission BX, and today is a big exciting day for this show because we have President Cocco De Filippis, the president of Hostos Community College, with us. And I have wanted to do this ever since she got to Hostos. So now we have even more reasons to talk to her. So thank you, President Cocco De Filippis, for taking time out on what I know is a ridiculous schedule.
I am delighted to be with you and with your listeners and your viewers.
Thank
very, very happy that you are doing this.
I am too. So I wanted to have everybody get a sense of, and actually me too, when I wrote down these questions, a lot of them were questions that I thought, I want to know that. Mm-hmm. So you are a 4-time CUNY alumni and a Dominican American educator. Can you tell us about how you got to where you are now? What were the choices along the road? And also, in addition to that, what does it feel like for you to be back at Hostos?
Oh, okay. I'll begin by saying that Hostos represents everything that is to be proud of our Latinx community. The Puerto Ricans, our Puerto Ricans brothers and sisters, began this effort that has had an impact and various underrepresented groups, not only from the Latino community, but also the African American, Black community, because we also have Afro-Caribbean and Western African students who are all they all tell me, and there was a time there were more Eastern Europeans, for example, when I was here. Everyone feels welcome at Hostos, and Hostos continues to make a tremendous difference. So I'm very happy to be back because I felt that this is a place where I could use all my love and experience to help a community that is first-time college students from disadvantaged homes and the poor. In Connecticut, I dealt with the poor that were primarily white. Here, the needs of other way are the same.
Right.
The needs are the same.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, how did I begin this? Well, I was 13 years old when I came, and I'm not going to make this too long because it is a long life. But I grew up very attached to my grandmother, and it was from her that I learned to love poetry and I learned to love books. And I was so spiritually and intellectually connected to her. But when my mother, who had been divorced and remarried, came to New York, and then we stayed with our grandmother for a year until she was able to get our green cards, so that we would come. And I thought I would die, but I talked with her. She said to me, "Don't you worry." In a sense, I wrote an article that appears in a book called Telling to Live, which is about the house that Mama Biela, I call her Mama Biela, her name was Gabriela, and built. And I'm that house, which is I carry with me all the loves, all the cultures. As an immigrant, that has given me a real sense. So I came to Flushing, New York, when there were no Latinos there of any kind. I was a rarity. Some Cuban exiles were beginning to come, but it was primarily all other groups, and not too many any of us. And so being the other in the ninth grade is not exactly for everybody to survive. But the one thing that helped me was the kindness of my teachers. So I have to tell you, a lot of who I am has to do with the wonderful teachers and professors that I had. So from there, I went to Flushing High School, graduated from Flushing High School, and went married young right out of high school with my husband, who was 3 years older than I, but lived across the street. And actually, we married. I tell my students and my children, I told them, don't do like your parents did, because it was a real fortune that I call it dumb luck, but I guess it was a real connection between us. We're married all these years later, when nobody thought this was going to really make a difference. He was also educated at Queens College and the Graduate Center. And so I went there, and what I found was that what wasn't in the curriculum in those days was something that the professors there understood. So, for example, I double major in English, Lit, American Lit mainly, and Latin American literature, Spanish literature there, Romance languages they called it. Dr. Weinman, who has been with me forever, even when I go to give talks, she appears. She's now retired. She taught my husband. She taught me. And she was one of a Jewish woman from Great Neck, and yet she was one of the creators of the literature. Black literature in the United States. And so I was introduced to that. She also pioneered women's studies, women literature. And I took those courses with her. She took a tremendous liking of me. In the romance, I always mention her because teachers make all the difference. Professors make all the difference in the world. And I began by taking an introductory, the required course that she taught. And then I said, oh, no, I'm doing this because she believes I can do it. She really encouraged me to write, love how I used to write. And it was because I was used to doing a lot of reading and writing. And think the more proficient you are in your first language, the better you do in any subsequent language. And a professor in the Romance language was Puerto Rican, gay, openly gay. Those days, I was dangerous. So Rafael Rodriguez, Rafi, we used to call him. They killed him in a gay bashing like 2 years after I finished at Queens College. But he said to me, Nena, what is wrong that such a smart girl hasn't really known some of the better poets? So Pedro Mir, the Dominican poet laureate, he gave me a book. He bought me a book. And he introduced me, we talk about Julia de Burgos, we just had the event. I honor Rafi at that event because he's the one who told me to introduce me to her, and also to Pablo Neruda. In his class, I took the Latin American poetry course, and so that shaped a little bit of who I was, and the love and the care and the guidance that I received really helped me make some choices. So when I finished at Queens College, and they had given me an opportunity to teach while I got my first master's of introductory courses. I remember going to pick up the checks, Eileen. If I had money, which I didn't, because we were a young couple working and struggling to raise the kids and getting our studies underway, I would have paid. I used to laugh all the way home because I felt that this has got to be the best thing that ever happened in my life, to be in the classroom with the students. Then applying to grad school, I did apply to NYU and Columbia and the CUNY Grad Center to see what would come of this. Both Columbia and NYU gave me scholarship that approximated about half of what the tuition would be. And CUNY Grad Center offered me a research fellowship to go that would pay my tuition and give me a little money to pay the babysitter when I went to class. So I chose to go there because I also knew that there were professors there. Some of them had taught at Queens College, and so I would find them there at the graduate center as well. And I specialized then in Spanish and then Latin American. And the credits transfer, and it was wonderful. So the choices I've made have been choices about, and I tell students that, it isn't always that you are going to get paid the highest amount of money, because in the end, life gets organized around the income. If you're judicious, you make it work, you get your position. But what has to motivate you is that in the end, you want to get up in the morning and go to that destination. Because the day you stop wanting to go, then you will be miserable. And the one thing I do believe, and I think I saw that in one of the other questions, is that basically you need to have liberal arts. And CUNY is moving in that direction, which was the direction liberal arts practically apply, because our students in the community colleges are poor. They're all poor at CUNY, but more so at the community colleges. So, for example, some of the things that we are doing, and we're working on this beautiful project with Queens College, is that because the arts means so much to this community, certainly to me, and I know what the arts did for my life, and the literature, they helped me so much organize my ideas. We're working on finishing a liberal arts degree at Hostos and continuing at Queens College to get a certificate or a minor in arts administration. Isn't that something?
Brilliant.
I think that's needed.
I think it's brilliant.
Oh, yeah. All right. So also the thought that they would be going to my alma mater really pleases me. But so basically the choices I make, I came back to Hostos, the college where I was, which had been, I would say, 92% white student population, and the faculty, staff, everyone. They brought me at a time that the chancellor understood that the city was in transition, and the growing number of students in the high schools were either Black or primarily Hispanics, call them there. And I interviewed for that position reluctantly because I was a provost at Hostos and I loved Hostos, but I felt when I went over there looking at the statistics and looking at the I went on a Saturday, and my husband said, let's look at this downtown in the city. And we went to the town green, and we saw all these corners, Arlene, of Black and Latinx students, and just hanging out. And I'm the mother of 3 sons, right? So I'm saying, what are these boys going to do when I look at the statistics for the college and they're not there? So that gave me a reason for wanting to go. I left the school Hispanic serving. I left the school with transportation, having really worked with the students and the staff and the faculty there to transform the city by bringing back evening bus service so that the poor could get to the college and have real equal access. That became in 2011, it became the most significant transportation initiative in Connecticut for that year. And then a year later, they were reporting that over 1 million people were using it, which means, and the hospitals were saying, essential workers, the workers at the mall, everywhere were able to go for second and third shifts without any disruption because they didn't own a car.
Yeah. So we have to, I'm going to interrupt you for just a minute because we have to take a break for about 2 minutes, and then we're going to come back. And when we come back, I want to ask you about the Mackenzie Scott initiative, the Aspen.
Sure.
I mean, because I would love to continue on this vein.
No. This is your show. This is your show.
And I know that we want to get other information out, so we're going to take a quick break.
I'm happy to speak to whatever. Okay.
So welcome back, everybody. And I'm here with President Daisy Cocco De Filippis, the president of Hostos. We've been having a great conversation about how she got to that position and what the world was like, every step along the way of her journey. And I would love to continue this conversation forever. But I also want to talk about some exciting things that are happening at Hostos. So the first is that Hostos is a finalist for the Aspen Award. So I'm sure there are people who are watching who don't necessarily know what that is. So I would love you to explain that. And we're also waiting for a visit for the Aspen people. So,
yes. Well, the Aspen Institute is located in Washington, D.C. It is a think tank about community colleges and the progress and the impact. And they separate out every 2 years $1 million that they give at the end of the race, so to speak, to the winner. Although everyone who's invited to compete is considered a winner. President Obama used to call the Aspen Prize the Oscar for community colleges. So there are about 1,300 community colleges in the nation, and they consider every state. All right. And they select, the first cut comes in when you're named to be among the 150 institutions that are selected from 1,300 to submit an application to be considered for the prize. And New York State, the whole state, had 6 community colleges designated. I am so proud as a 4-time CUNY alumna to say that they were all CUNY community colleges. Hostos was one of those 6. Then you submit an application. You write your application, but they really look at things such as generational transformation by means of education, the impact that the college has on the life of an individual, but also a family. Because we all know, they've done multiple studies, that basically for one who is a first-time college student who comes and is successful, you get another 5 from the neighborhood, the family, the cousin, parent, someone. So around February, they invited us to have a conversation. And when I say invited us, I had asked Dean O'Donnell and SVP Chardavoine to join me in this conversation. And so we made a case. And then one of the vice presidents whom I knew have met at different other, and I said to him, Josh, Hostos begins, Barbie, just take a look at you when you're running a race, right? You have to see everybody should be beginning in the same spot, but we're not. We are one of the hottest hit communities by COVID. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We also take the poorest and least prepared students of CUNY. And somehow we get to a point that you have the clearinghouse, student clearinghouse, the National Student Clearinghouse, in the summer 2021 say that our retention of Black students is 18% above the average for schools in the same situation, and that the Latino is about 6 and something percent more, and overall retention of the college is 8% higher. I think that had a lot to do with our receiving the Mackenzie Scott. Later, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Right. Yeah.
And so we had this interview, and then, this is not easy. You have to really work for this.
Yeah.
This is really, it recognizes, Hostos is going to be celebrating 55 years of its founding this year. And to have all of these considerations happen is just absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, it is. And deserved. And well-deserved.
Oh, well, yes. I mean, this is college, and I think this institution has had very different precedents, but there was one thing that was common. a passion for the mission and a care for the students and for the quality of the programs and for the social mission and community engagement aspect of our strategic of our mission. We really live the mission really close. Hostos is one of 2 community colleges that was actually founded by the community. That was the community 1,000%.
Right.
And
kept it open.
And that's why we honor again and again and again. We just had the 2 weeks where Evelina Antonetti was celebrating her centennial, because she was one of the founders of Hostos, but also one of those women voices that actually used to call her the hell woman of the Bronx, because she would stand up. She would stand up to injustices and really move the political agenda quite a bit as well. Education, yes.
So we just have a few minutes left, but I want you to tell, maybe 2 or 3. I want you to tell us about the Mackenzie Scott.
Well, they reach out to you and they say, well, we want to discuss with you that this foundation, and I thought it was a sales because I get so many like that. So that didn't bother. So then
it's only 15 million. I mean,
no, but I didn't know how much it was, and I didn't know how serious it was.
Sure.
And I didn't know that they actually wanted to talk to me. So finally, a colleague said to me, who from Lehman, Dan Lemon, who used to be the interim president there, and they had received it the year before. So he emailed me and said, Daisy, do me a favor.
Talk to
the woman. Talk to the woman, So she calls, she really interviewed me, about me and about the college. And it was sort of like that. And then at the end of the conversation said, you're not to say anything, but, she said, it's $50 million that you will get. So wait. And then they said, tell us how would you like it? Would you like it broken down in 3 years? I said, no, we need it now.
Give me everything in a bag.
Give us everything.
In a paper bag.
It took about 2-3 months because you have to go through the board of trustees. They have to accept it. Any gift above a certain amount has to go through that. But it is amazing because she has decided that she's not an expert on the college, but she knows of the good work of the college. Mm-hmm. So she's not going to tell the president what to do. So this grant was granted only for initiatives approved by the president. So it is the president's initiatives and I just send them the first annual report. Working with Dr. Sofia Oviedo, who is the executive director.
And we're actually going to have her on this show.
Beautiful. You're going to hear all of the wonderful
We're going to have a whole show.
But I want to tell you, people want to know about the money. So, because I am always been as passionate as I am, I'm pretty good with fiscal matters, and I worry. And we also have Esther, who's terrific, our senior vice president. But all my life in Connecticut, balanced everything and left them with about $5 million reserve, going through whatever. I was there 12 years, so, built it a little bit at a time. But at any rate, $30 million. And they were being held by the Research Foundation of the CUNY. And I wanted it here because I wanted our foundation to be able to show that it has an endowment. So we put $30 million in an endowed scholarship. The only thing, hopefully, at any time, it's under my responsibility, but I figure I am not going to act like a drunken sailor and leave nothing for the many years to come. There should be forever those if we use very wisely the interest and the endowment. So we have to stay within about 800,000 or so the way we do this, and the other 2 million are being held at the Research Foundation, and we take whatever we need when we do. We're very frugal. We're very frugal about this, but at the heart of it, big. There's a big theme, and I mean, if you could just, any of your viewers can just click on our website, and we'll see that there's a lot of information. Because because Sophia puts it in the semanario every week. There's an update on whatever. But it is basically about intentionality in our retention and in our support of the college's mission. So we had, for example, just this summer, it's supported by Mackenzie Scott, 45 students engaged in mentor-mentee jobs on campus where they actually learn to be professional. If they're interested in business, they work. We pay them $20 an hour. They have to be students here, not graduates, unfortunately, 10 hours a week, so that they could actually study and have some income. And we have 45 of them. We also had 5 students who went to community organizations. We paid the students because these organizations didn't have the money to pay, and we are not supposed to put any student to do internships for free anymore. That's not acceptable. So we paid the students their salaries. They went there. They were very happy. It was a very happy match because the community organizations received them and welcomed them, and actually they learned a lot. And the students came back, and Sophia could tell you. Ask her about that.
So we have to. I'm being told that our time is up, unfortunately. Okay. But she is going. We're scheduling a show with her. We're just looking and with some of the. That students.
Would be great. Let me tell you. She's so willing. She's just wonderful.
Yeah.
What a find.
That's what I.
You're going to see. The other thing I just want to say very quickly. We are going to open a Hostos Research Center, and we're in the progress of that. And there will be faculty and students doing research together, not on the students, but actually creating researchers so that when they go to the universities, and have you. She'll tell you more about that because she's hands-on with that.
But I have to give you a big thank you for taking time and doing this. I wish we had an hour show.
And thank you to your viewers for your support of the college. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
So unfortunately, as you can see, we could have spoken to President Daisy Cocco De Filippis for a long, long time because she has so many interesting things to tell us about. But we did run out of time. But stay tuned because we will be doing a show about the Mackenzie Scott grant that she mentioned. And we also do shows about numerous wonderful programs here in the Bronx. So if you've missed part of this, or you would like to tell someone else about how to watch it, just go on BronxNet.tv, look for Mission BX, and all of our shows will be there. Looking forward to seeing you all at our next show. We must fly, our dreams are fly.